Distance and midpoint formulas. First of all, who can tell me what the distance formula is?
It's, the opposite of b,
No.
or negative, isn't it?
It's like
Negative b, right?
No.
plus or minus that.
No,
That's quadratic formula.
thank you. It's
I don't know
quadratic.
the distance formula.
Oh, I know what midpoint is, I just don't know what distance.
Distance should be d equals,
Oh,
Oh,
um,
4, no, it's quadratic. I don't know.
Oh.
oh, it's similar
the
to
y
quadratic.
no,
Not really.
not at all.
Oh, I have the radical thing.
Distance equals x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. That's the distance formula. You should know that already, and you need to. So if you need to find the distance between
been a
two
while.
things, okay? Find the
Alright.
distance. Between the points -3, 5, and 4, -1. -3, 5, and 4, -1. How would I do that?
Just use the formula.
Tell me where to put stuff in.
It'd be
equals,
X1, so -3 minus, 4.
Okay, -3
minus 4.
minus 4 squared plus,
4,
5.
oh no, my bad, 5,
Negative
minus
four.
-1.
squared. -3 minus -4 is
-7.
-7 squared, right?
Yeah.
And then 5 minus -1 gives me a,
Positive 6 squared.
so, positive 6 squared. What is -7 squared?
49,
And what is 6 squared?
36,
Okay, what's 49 plus 36?
64,
80.
or 84.
80, yeah, 85, square root of 85.
Isn't that, and you can't choose things like that?
Nope. Does that have a perfect square?
No.
No, so you have to do the factor tree and break it down for me. 85 breaks down into, I know 5 can go into it. How many times does 5 go into 85?
I think
Yeah, 85 divided by
17, or 17.
Oh, 17. 17 is a prime number, so it does not break down. This is your answer.
Oh.
Radical of 85.
So we just locked out, or is that like,
You lucked out, yeah.
okay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like using the distance formula. Now let's talk about when it comes to classifying triangles. It says classify the triangle. What are the 3 classifications of a triangle?
Acute,
They're not by the angles, by the
No,
sides.
You have
By the sides.
Scalene.
Scalene.
isosceles,
Uh-huh.
imperfect, right?
well, equilateral.
Yeah, isosceles and equilateral. Good, guys. Or equilateral. Okay. So we're gonna classify a triangle as one of those 3 things. And the triangle is on a grid that looks, we're gonna pretend that this is on a grid, but. And the points are as follows. B is 7, 3. A is 4, 6. And C is 2, 1. What do you think we have to do to figure out if it's scalene, isosceles, or equilateral?
Find the distance
Of what?
of just
Did
2.
you do it for that?
You have to
We
find the
have to
distance
do it
of
for
all.
every side.
Yes, Drew is correct for every side. So let's find the distance of AB first.
Oh, you do A, B, C, okay.
Yes.
Oh, so you have to
You
do
would
it.
do A to B and B
So
to
what,
C
how do I
and
set
B to A.
up A to B? Square root of what minus what?
Of 4,
Minus 7.
Squared plus what?
6 minus 3 squared.
Okay, what's 4 minus 7?
-3.
-3 squared. And what is 6 minus 3?
3 squared.
3 squared, what's -3 squared?
9.
And I get 9 again, right?
So 18.
So radical 18. Just leave it like that,
Okay.
okay? Then I'm gonna do BC. BC is the square root of what?
You have 7 minus 2 squared.
Minus 2 squared plus
3 minus 1 squared.
3 minus 1 squared. Okay, what's 7 minus 2?
5.
So I have 5 squared plus 2 squared, what's 5 squared?
25.
And 2 squared is,
4.
so I get the square root of 29. Just leave it like that right now, okay? Then I have to do CA, yes? How do I do CA? Set up CA for me.
Wouldn't be, oh wait, we're not saying that.
What, it's saying?
Would it be 2 minus 4?
Yep, 2 minus 4 squared plus what?
1 minus 6.
1 minus 6 squared, what's 2 minus 4?
-2.
So -2 squared plus, what's 1 minus 6?
-5.
-5 squared, what's -2 squared?
4.
And -5 squared?
29. Negative.
So you get the square root of 29. Now, compare those 3 side lengths. What type of
Oh.
triangle do you have?
Isosceles.
Isosceles.
Wait, does it matter which, like, couldn't you technically do, if you wanted to do C, determine the, distance of C and A, can't you do, 4 minus 2?
Yeah.
and 6?
But if you use this x first, then you have to use that line first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
You can do it either way.
Now,
No,
we
one.
have to do the math, or could you just look at the triangle?
Nope, you have to show me the math.
Oh.
Good to know.
Well, I mean, if you look at the triangle, you
Yeah.
should know that, like,
Well, that's.
I also just made a rough sketch of the triangle, so I, but yes, you need to do the math behind it. Show me the math,
Okay.
okay? What would radical 18 break down into? Radical 29 can't, 29 is a prime number, but what would 18 break down into?
9 and 2.
9 and 2, and 9 breaks down into,
3 and 3.
so it would be 3 radical 2,
Mhm.
okay? So remember that when we do radicals, we are gonna break things down if possible, okay? Now, let's talk about, midpoint. What's the midpoint formula?
M equals x. X1 is the next one?
Mm-hmm.
oh,
X1 minus?
Mm-mm.
No. It's plus.
Plus x2 over
oh,
Y.
why?
No.
Over 2, and then parentheses, column, whatever.
y1 plus y2 over 2. You are finding a point, hence the term midpoint. So you're figuring out where it is halfway in between 2 sets of points. So you need a point as your answer, an x and a y, okay? x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. Now, find the midpoint of the segment joining -5, 1, and -1, 6. -5, 1, and -1, 6. Okay, how do I find the midpoint of that?
You do -5 plus -1.
Over,
2.
and I do 1 plus 6 over 2. What's -5 and -1 added together?
-6.
Over 2 and 7 over 2. What's -6 divided by 2?
-3.
You can leave that as a fraction or you can change it to a decimal.
Is it easy to leave as a fraction?
I personally think it is, yes.
Okay.
Midpoint. Okay, then we are going to do one last thing. we're gonna write equations that are perpendicular to, other lines, okay? So let's say it says, write an equation for the perpendicular bisector of the line segment. So perpendicular bisector of the line segment. Okay, of the line segment joining A, which is -3, 4, and B, which is 5, 6, and they want an equation. What do you know about things that are perpendicular? That's where you need to start.
Like, aren't they the opposite,
Opposite what?
the slope,
The slopes are the opposite, so what do you think we need to start with finding?
the slope,
The slope of this line, so that we can do the reciprocal of it.
yeah,
So how do you find the slope?
changing y with changing x.
Changing y over changing x, so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, yeah?
Mhm.
So in this case, what is it?
Six
minus
minus 4.
Over,
5,
5 minus
-3,
good. 6 minus 4 is,
2,
2.
and 5 minus -3 is,
8,
so that equals
1, 4,
1/4. So what is the opposite of that?
-4,
-4. So my slope for the equation is -4, yes?
yes,
Okay. Now you have to use something else. What other formula do you have to use to solve this?
1 slope,
Point slope. Point slope. Okay. You have to use point slope form. Now let me think about this. How do I figure out what point I can use? We have a slope, but do we have a point?
I mean, you have to,
But those aren't the points
Oh.
of my perpendicular bisector.
so no,
What else do you know about perpendicular bisector? Besides the slope is opposite when you create the equation, what,
Right angle.
it makes a right angle, but where specifically does it cross through on that line?
The middle.
The middle. So what equation could I use?
midpoint,
Midpoint formula. To figure out what the point is I need. So midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. What's x1 and x2 in this case?
-3,
-3 plus
5,
5 over 2 and 4 plus 6 over 2, yes? What's -3 and 5 together?
2,
So 2 over 2 is
1,
1. And what is 4 plus 6 together?
10,
And 10 divided by 2 is? There's my
oh, you're,
midpoint. So now I use point slope formula like you said. Point slope formula says y minus y1 equals my slope times x minus x1. Okay, my slope is -4. My x1 is
1,
1. My y1 is
5,
y minus 5 equals -4x plus 4, yes?
then you gotta add,
Y equals -4x plus 9. There's my equation.
That seems.
it's not hard, it
Yeah,
just
I
takes
suppose
It
on,
just
it's
takes
out.
so long.
Yep, you have to use 3 different equations to get there.
Right,
Wait, so
yeah.
if we're always going to find the perpendicular,
Mm-hmm.
just find
Equation.
midpoint, so
You
should we
have
just
to-
find midpoint first? or
Find
do it-
midpoint and find the slope first, and then use point slope form. You have to find the midpoint and the slope so that you can do the opposite
So would it be
reciprocal.
better just to find the slope first and then? or
It
then-
doesn't matter which
okay.
order you do it in. You have to have both before you can go into point slope form. Okay? That is what you're working on today.
Can you just set aside